Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to one of our final sessions for this year's 2030 Insight Live. If you're joining us online, hello. And if you're catching up, then thank you for tuning in. Most importantly of all, if you're here in the room in Kenya, good afternoon. Yeah, this is good. So energy levels are still there. This is good. And we're very grateful to you for making this session because we want to hear your voices during this session. So with that in mind, I'm going to introduce you to some of our contributors. Our theme for the session is Beyond 2030. And if you're expecting a relaxed panel session, I've got bad news. It's going to be much pithier than that. It's going to be much more interactive than that. In fact, it's going to be a series of debates, putting different points of view to you, to our peers, to our community, to get us thinking, to get us talking. And that's the point of the exercise. So all will be revealed. But before we even start, if everyone in the space here in Kenya, in Nairobi, if you'd be upstanding, just very briefly, and particularly I'm going to invite you towards the middle of the room to come on down, even further down the front, and say hi to somebody if you haven't already. Come on down, and then I'm going to tell you who's going to be appearing very shortly. Right. Now, a quick introduction to someone you haven't met before, because you're going to be exchanging views with them any minute. Let's give us a minute in the room to do that. Meet your neighbor. You're going to be exchanging. We're going to be firing up our debating muscles in a minute. All right. Okay, everyone. Thank you. Come on in if you're just joining us. Welcome, welcome. Have a seat, please. Welcome, 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 welcome. Okay, everyone. So I want everybody in this room to imagine that each of these questions I'm posing to you individually. And I'm going to ask you in each case to take a view, to take a position. Now, clearly, there is always nuance in every big question. The truth is between. But for the purposes of this session, I want to hear your perspective. If you had to make a case for one of those sides, where would you land? So the people I'm going to introduce up onto the stage need no introduction to you. They are leading lights in our sector. Today, they are not sharing the official views of their organization, and that's important. In some cases, because we've deliberately asked them to lean in to the thing we're asking them to support or oppose, they might not even be sharing their own personal crystallized views. In fact, their own views might be a lot more nuanced. But for the purposes of the 2 minutes they each have, we're asking them to really take a position. So in that spirit, are you up for supporting our fantastic 6 debaters, everybody? Yes? Good. Motion number 1. And imagine I could pick on any one of you to come up and give me 2 minutes on this. Motion number 1. Avoidable sight loss is now primarily a leadership challenge. Avoidable sight loss is now primarily a leadership challenge. I'm going to ask you whether you agree, every one of you, whether you agree or whether you disagree. We'll just get a bit of level setting in the room. Avoidable sight loss is now primarily a leadership challenge. All those in favor say aye. All those against say nay. Well, leaders, that's a bit of bad news. It sounds like as we go into this, the ayes have it. Primarily a leadership challenge. Of course, the get out is presumably saying, not these leaders, these leaders. We will see. So arguing for the motion, and once again, I'll introduce them by their name, not their organization, deliberately. But what will happen is we'll do 2 minutes for, 2 minutes against, and then we'll come out to the audience for what you would like to say in your perspectives as well. Please welcome up someone who needs no introduction, Brandon R. Tong. Just to recap, everybody, our speakers will be given 2 minutes to argue either for or against the motion. So, Brandon, in your own time, avoidable sight loss is now primarily a leadership challenge. What say you?
So I guess with one nay, if I stuff this up, it's probably all on me. I say that of course, avoidable sight loss is primarily a leadership challenge. And some might say, actually, it's more about, because we know what to do, it's actually more about doing more and doing it better. Now, I think that's true, but can I say, and I dare to say that, actually that's insufficient, and I'll tell you why. I'll give you 3 reasons why. One is because eye health really is about, ours is about the prioritization of eye health. We know what to do, and we know that there are 9 in 10 people who have a condition that can be prevented or treated. And of course, for that 10th person with the skills development, assistive technology, and an inclusive environment that can also be included in society as well. So we know what to do. Number 2 is because I think that eye health really is about, it's a scale problem. It is a scale problem, and we know the numbers, right? We talk about 1.1 billion people today, growing to about 1.8 billion people by 2050. Let's sharpen that up a little bit, double click on that a second. What that means is, if we pull those numbers back to 1990, there was 1 in 9 people had a vision impairment. In 2020, that number was about 1 in 7. If we keep doing what we're doing right now, even though it's good work, there'll be 1 in 5 people by 2050. So how do we address the scale problem? And number 3 is that we need collective action to connect investment, new capital, and invest it in the places that can be targeted for improved systems change. And how do we do that? These are things we need to do in avoidable blindness and eye care. Now, of course, the answer to those questions is, of course, it's multifaceted. But I put to you that there is a superpower that can answer those questions. That superpower is leadership. That superpower is the thing that can eliminate the answers to those questions. It's about leadership to create prioritization. It's about leadership to improve scale, not just for the sake of it, but putting scale in the places and the context that count. And of course, it's about leadership to generate the new investment and to generate and put that investment where it's needed the most. So, leadership is not just about an ethereal comment. It's really about political leadership, number 1. We want political leaders to actually put the policies, regulations, and finances in place. We need the donors, we need the institutions to actually lean in and say, yep, I care about education, or I care about jobs and employment, therefore I care about eye care. And of course, all of us in the room, NGOs, academic institutions, private sector, we all have to have a role in providing leadership for our organizations and between our organizations. So, leadership, I put to you, is primarily what is required to end avoidable blindness and make sure people who are blind and vision impaired are also equally included in society. Thank you.
Thank you, Brandon. Just come with me just to this first seat here. Thank you.
Yep.
Great. Thank you, Brandon. That is a rip-roaring start, and it's much appreciated. Another round of applause for Brandon, everybody. Thank you, sir. So, avoidable sight loss is now a leadership challenge. Oh, no, it isn't, says our next speaker. Please welcome up to the stage, Dr. Rohit Khanna. That's good, Brandon. That's good. Yeah. It's fine.
Good afternoon. So, I was just thinking about it, whether it's a leadership challenge or something else. I think it's a leadership challenge, but I think you need right kind of leaders. So if you look at examples when there is a policy change, there is a commitment given at the national level by, say, a leader A or the Ministry of Health, suppose he is a leader, and it doesn't percolate down to the team, then that leadership is of no meaning. So unless the leader communicates it to the team, I think, and we require that kind of leaders. But at the same time, we require a team also. So unless you have the leader and the team together, working together, I think things will not never happen. Look at success stories where leaders are there and team is there, and the vision of leader percolates down, then only things move. Otherwise, if the leader's vision is at only in the boardroom or in the meeting rooms, it will never happen. So probably I think it's leader as well as the team. And there are many examples. You require leader and you require team. You look at the blindness program. So we are like marching against, like, the number of incidence cases are increasing day by day. And we don't have human resource to manage that. A leader cannot alone fight the war. He has to create team. So unless you have teams who can fight the war, and you have to create a team. So even if you have right kind of human resources required, right kind of training, right kind of equipment, right kind of resources. So if these are there, I think the team also, the leader cannot function. So it's a leadership challenge, but at the same time, you require a team also. So I will put it as in a way that you require both, and both should come together and have a common vision. The vision should percolate down to the last mile. It should be the last person on the field who should get that vision incorporated. Otherwise, I think things will not move. Good examples are there, and leaders' roles are different. They can do advocacy, they can do policy, they can do fundraising, they can do negotiations and all that, but ultimately the soldier who is fighting on the ground, I think, has to be there, and he has to be empowered by the leader. Otherwise, that will not work.
Thank you, Dr. Rohit. Please come and have a seat. So, stepping back from it, presumably, friends, if we're to attack this motion, we either have to, in some way, challenge the idea of the importance of leadership, or we have to say, no. The biggest challenge is not leadership, it's something else. In which case, what is the something else? So here's the challenge now. Turn to the person next to you. If we had picked on you and said, let's have your 2 minutes, which side would you have taken, and what would you have said? Avoidable sight loss is now primarily a leadership challenge. Tell your neighbor what you think, tell them whether they're right or wrong, and we'll harvest half a dozen ideas from the room. Thank you. First class, thank you. That's great, really good. Okay, everyone, let's take a quick sample. Who, as they say, who will give us a point of view to get the ball rolling? Maximum points for offering your thoughts, provocations, or indeed, if you just heard something and you thought, that was good, point to the person who said it, and I'll come and find them instead. That's a good stitch up there, Jennifer. Right. And you get extra points for making us think. And it's all, you don't even have to say who you are. Who will share a point of view? Thank you, Jissa. And I'm looking for other offers there. You were scratching your nose. That could have been sold at auction there.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to suggest this. On the 4th of, during the member engagement groups day, there was a very valid argument made by our chairs saying that we have all the solutions. Do we actually have all the solutions? So I'm going to divert this discussion to the clinical solutions that we think exist, and is that meeting the right people? So it's not just about avoidable sight loss is not just about a leadership issue. And to add to the point which Rohit made, that it's also equally a problem where the clinical solutions that we say we have is reaching the people who actually need it.
Good. Here. Thank you. Thank you, Jessa. Who will share another perspective from either side? Primarily, yes, is that you?
I'm thinking that leadership actually, leaders' mindset is very critical, because if the mindset is something like thinking about something which is politically driven, and this politics is not for the people, then it's very difficult. It's changing, and the mind's changing, and this prioritization shifted. So I think it's very important, leaders' mindset. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's have more. Yes, of course.
I just changed my mind. I think that's okay. So I would say leader, because leader is the one who facilitates everything. We're not just talking about the leader on the highest level, but leader on the ground as well. So who make the things happen. So I would go with leader and leadership challenge. We need leaders also on the ground with that leadership, with that vision.
Right, so that's the #1 challenge. Thank you, Gina. Let's have a couple of other perspectives. Who will speak against the motion? Who will say it really isn't the primary challenge? Who would speak against it? Yes.
I've changed my mind because you're looking for, I'm afraid of uncomfortable silences. I don't think it's necessarily a leadership challenge. I think maybe it's a communications challenge. Maybe we're not communicating correctly to the leaders. So if we're not giving them that information, and if we're not talking to the likes of ministries of finance in the language that they understand, how can they be equipped to make those decisions?
Right, really powerful point. Good. Who else would speak in either direction, for or against? Let's come back, and then we'll come to the front here. Thank you. Actually, stand by there. Thanks.
Yeah, I think it depends on the context that you're looking at. In higher income countries, then yes, it is a leadership challenge. I'm next to 2 Americans who said every problem in America is due to our leadership problems. But I think when you look at some of the poorest countries or least resourced, we also have to look at the reality that a lot of the development budget has been ripped out from under them, and now they're trying to do the best they can with a lot of competing priorities. So I think you could look at it in either way, depending on the context. So I will say, if I had to pick one, I will say no, it's not a leadership problem.
Okay. Excellent. Right. Very good provocation. Thank you. To the back.
I think the conversation around here is, why is it that when we think about leadership, we are thinking about others? How often do we question ourselves that at the leadership point, it starts with us? What are we doing as leaders? Or are we just looking at the top? Have we probably failed to do the advocation? Have we probably failed to do the awareness? So for me, it's leadership at whichever level, and it starts with us.
Here. Another couple of perspectives, and then we will come back to Dr. Rohit and to Brandon. Well, let's imagine a response. Let's imagine a response that says leadership is wildly overrated. Countries are becoming increasingly ungovernable, aren't they? So what's the relevance of leaders in a political context anymore? That's an idea for the past, isn't it? Seriously, isn't it? Isn't what matters things that work, grassroots solutions, people power? Why do leaders matter? Some people don't understand why they matter anymore. What do we say to that perspective?
Hello?
Let's go.
Okay, yes. Yeah, I think leadership is a big issue. But maybe it is just locating where the disconnect is. I think that a lot of professionals who are in the eye care space, they are not prepared to lead. Then when they are not prepared, you have other role players who come into the space and lead, and then that is where the disjoint did the disconnect start? Because those who didn't want to lead the professionals in the profession, they now start to resist to be led by non-eye care leaders.
Yeah.
I think that is a big disconnect there.
And is there an example of a type of leadership or an example of leadership you'd like to see more of in that case?
Yeah, I'm talking as an optometrist. So you go to university, you pass, you go into the work field, and you are concentrated in seeing the patient. But the problem is that you need systems to be able to deliver services beyond your practice or your area of scope. And I think that is where we are lacking.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, superb. So we'll ask you to cast your final votes, but first I think a right to reply, a chance for our debaters to refine or sum up their positions. Avoidable sight loss is now primarily a leadership challenge. Brandon, a recap, please.
So I've heard people sort of saying it's maybe it's how we're talking about it, maybe it's our problem, not theirs, maybe it's a technology problem. My esteemed colleague here, having both sides of the fence, thinking that it's maybe it's team and leader all together. But let me put it to you this way: who likes orchestras? Who likes music?
Yes.
You can chuck people in a room and you can give them their nice instruments and be really nice, but there's a fine line between noise and good music, right? This is what it's about. Let leadership be conduct the symphony of access to eye care, and let's listen to that music and make it beautiful. Thanks.
Yeah, bring it on. Thank you, Brandon. Dr. Rohit.
I agree with Brendan, but I think wait. But it should be an effective leadership. It's not like everybody is a leader. We have so many organizations, everybody is a leader, but all the organizations don't perform to the same level. So probably I think it's about effective leadership and how that vision of a leader percolates down the team and how that leader builds the next generation. Because if that leader is not building the next generation, I think the whole thing goes down the drain. And we have seen in organizations where the leader is gone and the organizations collapse within like a pack of cards. So probably I think it's leader and leader building the team and team supporting the leader.
Well, thank you, Dr. Rohit, for fully embracing our role-playing challenge this afternoon. And for joining forces so wholeheartedly with your peer and colleague, Brandon, and for making us think. On a serious note, thank you, Dr. Rohit, and thank you, Brandon Artong. Thanks, Cuba. Superb, really helpful. Yeah, we are going to, don't worry. Right, well, as Dr. Rohit and Brandon leave the stage, I'm going to put it to the vote a final time. Simon's beady eye across this. Motion number 1, avoidable sight loss is now primarily a leadership challenge. All those in favor say aye. All those against say nay. I think we've won some votes there, Simon. I'm pretty sure I heard Dr. Rohit say aye, but that's another matter. We'll discuss that in the break. That's the power of persuasion, Brandon. All right. Thank you, everybody. A huge round of applause for our first motion. Yes. Right, onwards. Okay, I'm going to reiterate what I said at the start, just in case new guests are joining us, or if you're just tuning in or catching up. We're going through 3 different motions. We're quite literally going through the motions, but it does have substance because it's getting us thinking about what matters. Our speakers on stage this afternoon are taking a deliberate position to help us think. They're not expressing the views of their organization. They might not even be expressing their own personal views in their fullness. So it's really appreciated what they're doing. Motion number 2. Eye health must be explicitly named in the next global development agenda. Eye health must be explicitly named. I'd love to see these motions on screen. Must be explicitly named, thank you, in the next global development agenda. Okay, first question is to our audience. All those who agree with the motion, all those in favor that it must be explicitly named in the next global, this is what happens after 2030, in the next global development agenda. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those against say nay. Nay. volume isn't always taken into account, Simon. I'm going to do it again because it distracted me. All the nice consistent volume. All those in favour say aye. All those in favour say nay. Okay, at this point the ayes have it, but we've only just begun. Please welcome to the stage to explain why it must be named Peter Milo.
Right. Good afternoon. And the answer is absolutely. And for the following few reasons. Having eye health absolutely naming the next development goals gives it the global call and attention that it requires. And what that means then, therefore, it brings it into the mainstream. You know, at the moment we are on overdrive, trying to make sure that we are drawing attention to it. And in my other life and working career, I've never met any leader or government official or any development professional who does not, in wherever they do, they will always come back to the bigger picture of the development goal. So I think for that reason it's very important. But the other one, it also brings clear measurement and tracking. You know, what is not measured or is not very visible, then sometimes it misses the attention of the political goodwill and commitment. And one of the things that I always find is that if I use my own country as an example and the various other countries I've either traveled or worked in, is that the reporting of that indicator at that high level, then it is everybody's concern and there's that attention. Therefore, then there's clear measurement and tracking, and we can measure progress, taking stock, and it makes things very easy. But most important, when you have a global call, it trickles down to countries and institutions. Then we have clear measurements. Then what that means, then you get the political goodwill and attention that you require. And I always say political goodwill is matched with financing and investment. Having lived in now what we call the low middle income countries, I will tell you this. What governments in those regions and even in the very poor countries, what they value most, the leadership, they fund it and they put money. They will even go ahead and even acquire a development loan to fund that piece of work. So therefore then putting it at that level attracts the political goodwill that is matched with financing. And then the other aspect is also our whole government approach. If we just use the SDG or the Millennium Development Goal, when education and access to everybody was made to be an important aspect within those goals, what that happens, then the government plans wholesomely. Therefore, this is what we'll do to if it's at that level. And we also know in the maternal and child health, those are also put at very high level, and then in those sectors, that discussion becomes very easy. So that in itself is very important for us. Then once something at that high level, like at the global level, then there's also what we call policy coherence and attention. I was just in the next room, and one of the things that was discussed in the funding discussion was, we want to increase access to eye care, but the more we bring legislation and many other things, then it increases the cost of access. But once you elevate this to a very high level, what you bring in then is what I call policy attention and coherence and making sure that policies to speak to each other. And then you're able now to talk about, and in my own personal view, the discussion about integration. Integration will be achieved by this level because it will be within the health sector and sectors that are important to I, that is education, social protection, labor, and all that. And I just had one example that within SDG, we can give a country next home to Kenya, Tanzania. They have been able to improve their service delivery for maternal health to a very high level when maternal and maternal mortality indicators were taken at that level. So therefore, colleagues, if we have the opportunity to have I at that high level, then I will ask you, we rally to making that drive towards that. It will make our life easy in following what we know will change the life of many people. At the moment, it feels as if we have to kind of catching up educating and making a lot of people have the information. But calling to it at this level allows everybody to seek the information they need to make sure that that happens. And then this is always at a national level, and that means it is at the highest level, the presidency, the prime minister, or whoever the leader is at that level. So that is my submission, and I hope you are convinced. Thanks.
I'm not totally convinced by your timekeeping, if I'm honest. However, that is pedantry. Thank you very much. In the interest of fairness and balance, I realize what's happened. We gave Peter a 20-minute clock and not a 2-minute clock. I can see how that happened. But we will give our next speaker 4 minutes if you would like to take it. You can keep your speech as you would have been expecting to 2 if you'd like. Eye health must be explicitly named in the next Global Development Agenda. Not so fast, says Caroline Harper.
Well, first of all, of course, there's a huge assumption in this, which is that there will be a global development agenda and a whole replacement and goals. I'm not 100% sure there even will be, but let's put that to one side for now. Let's assume that there is, in fact, one of these. Now, I want to just take you back to 2015, and Sightsavers put in masses and masses of effort on the disability side. We worked with all the organizations of persons with disability. It was an amazing effort. It was wonderful, but it used up an enormous amount of time, effort, and emotion. And we were ecstatic. On the day in 2015, I cried because we got Leave No One Behind, which has entered the discourse, it has. And we got disaggregated data. You couldn't achieve an SDG unless you also achieved it for someone with a disability. So yeah, that was amazing. And you know what? For a few years, the SDGs were amazing. I remember our institutional funders scrambling about how many SDGs can you get in every bid, and if you can get 7 of them, you're probably going to win. It was initially, I think, great. But now here we are, and it's 10 years later. I obviously, in preparing for this, did extensive research on Wikipedia, and I found that actually inequality has increased over that period of time, and nobody thinks we're going to meet the SDG goals. And there's even been some research, and this was in 2022, before the world went horribly wrong, which said that the SDGs had achieved very limited political transformation. So it's a bit disappointing. And what is even more disappointing, I think, is that the world has changed. It has seriously changed. The populist governments, the conflicts that we're seeing. I mean, I'd say aid cuts, but the word cut is just not really hacking it. Aid's going, it's disappearing, not sure if it's ever coming back. And there's that phrase that was uttered by some American, SDGs lost at the ballot box. So that ambition, that joy, and the universality that SDGs had, all the governments coming together, even David Cameron, the Tory, saying that Leave No One Behind was a golden thread, that has evaporated. Do any of us in this room seriously think that global level institutions are stronger now? I don't think so. Do we believe that global solidarity is stronger now? Well, you know, I have drunk quite heavily this week, but even so, I don't believe it is. And the biggest issue that we have is we have limited resources. And I can tell you, it would be a Herculean effort to get 3 or 4 words into paragraph 72.4 of any global agenda. We would have to put everything we had into getting that. And then at the end of the day, in the event that was there, will governments take any notice? Don't all of us in this space talk about localization and decolonization and, you know, shifting the power? Why do we think that the global level is the most important thing? And if the SDGs have disappointed at this point, whatever makes us think that into the future it will all be okay? So we need to rethink our influencing strategy. We need to decide who are the actors in the future that will matter. And it will be things like the regional bodies. These will become increasingly important. The private sector actors, the big billionaire philanthropists. I don't know the answer, But what I do know, what I do believe, is trying to do the same thing as we did for 2015 to get eye health in the thing. That's not the best way to use our scarce resources. We need to do something different.
Thank you, Carolina. Thank you, Peter. Okay, let me make a suggestion. Why don't we all stand up and turn to our neighbor and force to pick a side, which is what this session is about, to help us to think. Tell your neighbor what you think and why. Let's see which pairs agree and which disagree. Okay, everybody, why don't we stay standing if you like, sit down if you like, doesn't matter. But let's bring everyone back for a moment. Thank you. First of all, why don't we have another big round of applause for Peter and for Caroline? Thank you. You have certainly got the room talking. And let's share some points of view, for or against, from the floor. Who will go? Yes, Jess, right. Now again, we want you to be as pithy as you like, and the exercise is to get us thinking. But Jess.
This is about to sound like Tuesday night down the pub with me and Simon. So I'd like to counter Caroline's point of view, because this is about protecting the only infrastructure that is capable of managing our interconnected world, okay? These frameworks were designed to drive social progress, to reduce poverty, to eradicate hunger, to enhance equity, and to leave no one behind. And I think it's our role as civil society, on behalf of the people that we serve, to protect that infrastructure. Right now, the UN is going through massive reforms, and some of those institutions are disappearing. And there's a debate going on as to whether the UN needs to go back to first principles, to focus on peace and security and trade, where frankly, only hard power matters. That's the reality. So where does the UN get its power? From its soft power, from its multilateral engagement through things like the SDGs, where every member state has a voice. And eye health needs to be part of that debate, okay? We have worked so hard since the UN resolution. Everything we have done is to get eye health integrated at that level. And we're seeing it. We're seeing eye health integrated into the voluntary national reviews, and we're starting, sorry. This is just getting personal now between Simon and I. And we will make it happen. And at IPB, as our global advocacy strategy, we will make it happen.
I'm going to say she's totally wrong, and I agree with Caroline. This world is over. We've moved on. It was a wonderful world. That's how I got engaged and got active. I'm a socialist. That's what I want to do. But this world is over. And if we don't move forwards and keep looking backwards, we're never going to achieve what we did. Eye health isn't in the SDGs. Caroline talked about disability being in the SDGs, but eye health isn't. All the work we're doing, the things we're doing with the Global Summit, that doesn't come from being as part of the SDGs. That comes from a huge amount of hard work, and that's going to continue. And we see in communications that the power often isn't with governments. The power is with the media, the power is with people, the power is with social influencers and voices, and those people don't need the Sustainable Development Goals and another different agenda. They just need to push forward. We all want change, we all want things to be better, but I'm not certain it's within an old-fashioned system that probably died quite a few years ago.
Right. Well, you can join Simon and Jess at the Old Dog and Duck next Tuesday night at about 8 o'clock. More voices, more perspectives, permission to be pithy. I will come back to you, but I want to hear new voices as well. Please, come on in.
Yes, thank you very much. I want to counter Peter's argument. I want to take us back to countries. We have eye health that is embedded within the country programs, but sometimes it's number 10, number 12 in terms of prioritization. So even if we have eye health in the global development agenda, it's just a tick box, as long as we don't get things right at country level.
Interesting. Thank you. Okay, we'll go just into the second row. Thank you. Standing by, Junie. And then we'll go here.
I'm going to support Peter Milo. So what out of sight is out of mind. That's something that you don't see, don't know is, out of sight is out of mind. I'll continue from there. And something that you want to ignore, or the politicians, if they are ignoring, they know that they are ignoring. To know that they are ignoring, then they need to, there's something, let me say it again. To know, if I'm ignoring something, I know that I am ignoring. But I know it is there, that's why I'm ignoring. So eye health needs to be there, even for the politicians or anyone to ignore it. And to counter what Simon said, yes, there are media, influencers, everyone, but it comes from our instinct to include in the next development agenda. We are encouraging them to be included in their media, in their social platforms.
Yeah, thank you. Right. Let's get more voices in here. One, and then here, and then I'm looking further afield as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Ollie. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Dom Haslam. Caroline's my boss, so this may be my last IPB meeting. It's very nice to have met you all. Yes, I'm going to speak in defence. And I think, just to take Simon's point, and Glenda's, I think you're thinking too small. You're thinking about us going in at the same level of fighting to try and get space. Whereas I think we should be thinking bigger than that. I think our sector, as we've heard again over the last couple of days, has got the evidence for cost-effective solutions in a world which is full of complex problems. So we have the opportunity not to be part of it, not to argue for an indicator here or a target here, but to be at the very center of pointing out that global cooperation can work, that we have solutions that are effective, that are cost-effective, and that will give us a return on investment of 28-1. I think we should be using that to prove to the world that international cooperation is very much alive and kicking.
Right, well, I don't know if Caroline plays poker, but she wasn't exactly applauding that. Let's get another couple of perspectives, and then we're going to run out.
I'm going to agree approximately 50% with Caroline. I don't think we need to have eye health in the next development agenda. I do think that there is a role for multilateralism, but I think we've spent a long time talking about how eye health is part of the development agenda, how eye health is part of the broader health system. And the word eye health within whatever comes next doesn't change that. If we want to be part of that, I would make the argument that actually no disease-specific language should be in it.
Right.
It needs to be talking about building health systems, making them stronger, and we are part of that. We don't need the words there to do that.
Yeah, thank you. Right, let me get another quick perspective from Dr. Rohit. Yeah, here it is.
Yeah, I think I agree with Caroline. And if you look at, go back to Alma Mater, initially it was like primary healthcare and all, and it came together that we should have an integrated system, and what happened? It all didn't work, and then when Vision 2020 came, everything worked, and then subsequently now we are again going back to the same thing, primary eye care and primary healthcare, which started in 1978, and we are still there. So probably I think it can be, if it is a global agenda, I think unless it goes down to local level. If you look at smallpox, it was a global agenda, but unless it went to the last mile, to the region, to the nation, to the village, to the last mile, I think things never happened.
So go on then, where are you?
So I am going to the things that it should be a local, and it should be driven by the states and the countries and the regions, and not.
Oh, I see. But Should it be named in the next goals?
It should not be named.
It should not be. Well, it's good to see you take a stand for once in your life, is all I would say. Thank you, Dr. Ray. I appreciate it. Let's have a huge round of applause for all of those contributions from the floor. Thank you. And a final summation here. Peter and then Caroline.
I think, and the debate has been robust, but the message here is that wherever, if you look at the last 3 days we've been here, a lot of evidence and information that we have, we should find a way in making sure that this is very visible within the global, regional, local, national. Wherever that attention will be, it is important. And the sector is as important as any other. I keep on saying, when I look at the numbers that in the session that just Jack was leading with Amanda and everybody about the value for vision, it is the same reason any country can need to pay the same level of attention the way they talk about infrastructure. Why you build a road, why you do another things, it's because they have those numbers. So we have a lot of information that we need to help the countries to rationalize and the entire cascade. So that will be my submission. Thank you.
Thank you. Explicitly name it, says Peter. Thank you. Caroline.
Well, for me, it just keeps coming back to the question of resources. Yeah, wouldn't it be lovely to have everything everywhere, global, local, national, village, everywhere? But we've only got a finite amount of resources, and we have a very clear mission of what we want to achieve. And it isn't really about we want to support international cooperation and mend the whole world. That isn't what we're here to do. So we need to think, how best can we achieve our goal with the resources that we have? And as you said very eloquently, the world has changed. And we need to think best about how do we influence in a different world, and it's not going to be the same as it was in 2015.
Good. Right. Caroline, by the way, if you could be convinced that it could be included by spending minimal resources, what would you say?
Well, if we could just go and meet, the leader and say, could you just stick it in? And they go, yeah, all right. Well, why would you not? But in my experience, that isn't really how it works.
That ain't reality. Right, let's pause it there. Thank you, Caroline. Thank you, Peter. Okay, so iHealth must be explicitly named in the next Global Development Goals. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Is there some sort of time delay in the room? I'm going to ask again. All those in favour say aye. Aye. All those against say nay. Pretty balanced. We'll do it one more time, but we have to get on. All those in favour say aye. Aye. All those in favour say nay. Nay. Very split. We've made a lot of ground up there. Thank you both, everyone. Thank you, everybody. Right, so our final question, our final motion is about scale. Do you think if we were calling you up now to make a 2-minute speech, do you think that the sector is prepared for scale at a global scale or a local scale? And we'll see this here. Is the sector prepared for scale at a global level or at a local level? Do you think it is or it isn't? Or it is globally, but it isn't locally. That wouldn't necessarily make sense, but maybe it is locally, but it isn't globally. What do you think? The point is, it's a fascinating question, isn't it? So, is the sector prepared for scale at a global or local level? Who says yes it is? Say aye. It wasn't unanimous. And that's the point. All those in favour say aye. All those against say nay. All those thinking about it say Okay, quite a chorus, actually. Browner, there's your orchestra for you. The hmms have it. What a headline. So, story of our life. So, okay. And now, to get us thinking even more, and to put their position, please welcome up Kathleen Sherwin.
It's making me progressively nervous that as the last hour has happened, about now 1/3 of the audience is Sight Savers and about 2/3 Orbis. So I'm not sure what that means. So I've been a leader in the eye health sector for 20 weeks. So with all of my expertise and American personality, I'm going to say to the moderator that I really have no idea what question you just asked me, but I think you've asked me the wrong question. When you say, are we ready for scale, I'm thinking, okay, can we do more projects? Can we do more programs? Can we do more surgeries? That's absolutely, I think, the wrong question with my 20 weeks of experience. The questions I would be asking is, are we ready for scaled systems? And so systems is really at a global level what we should be looking at. So are we talking about workforce capacity, integration into existing health systems, financing beyond current donor cycles? And so I think in my 20 weeks, what I've seen is really the sector is good at scaling solutions. I think we're actually less good at scaling systems. So we have really great mass cataract programs. We have really great school-based eye screenings. We have really great mass trachoma models. I see Sightsavers, Fred Hollows in the room, CBM. But what I don't see at this mass level is how we're dealing with workforce shortages. How are we dealing with work? You know, we're still working outside of primary care. I see some of you. We're working outside of UHC. I see some of you over there. We're not evenly implementing at a national level. So one of the perhaps challenges we'll say is, well, Kathleen, but it's money. You can't do systems scale if you don't have the money. Now, financing is really important. If there's a donor in the room that has a check, it's Orbis on Vanderbilt Avenue in New York City. Please come my way. But we also need, and we heard this from Brandon, we also need leadership. We also need accountability. We also need workforce planning. We also need integration into national health systems. So in closing, I think there's 3 points. One is we know what works. You all know what works. I think I know what works. It's 20 weeks in. Watch me in 60 weeks. We don't lack evidence, right? The Vision Atlas is like this amazing thing that you all have. We know how to do cataract, DR, ROP, glaucoma. I'm putting in all my terms that I've learned. But the challenge is the systems, right? We're dealing with these workforce shortages. We're dealing with fragmented financing. We're dealing with weak integration into UHC. And so to reach 1.1 billion people, and I'm thinking about the other Caroline, the future of eye health is not going to be built on isolated excellence. It will be built on coordinated, scaled systems. 20 weeks in, I'm an expert already.
Okay, so let's get a different perspective completely on whether the eye health sector is ready for scale on a global level or on a local level. Please welcome up Ryan Toves.
Yes, I'm going to base this opinion on Latin America. So I would say that Latin America is more prepared than ever, but it's not going to be a smooth ride. So why not a smooth ride? Because we have different levels of integration and relation between the actors, government, public sector, NPOs, and business sector. We have regulatory affairs issues in many countries that are still limiting growth. We have also the business sector is mostly seen as a provider and not as a co-participant. And funding, so funding comes mostly in the countries, in our countries, comes from private fundings, and the macroeconomics of data that we have from Latin America can give a false perception of the reality in the country, and especially because the government have more, the countries, they have government plans, but they don't have country plans. So we have to restart the conversation every time there's a big change in the government or another president. But even though I just mentioned this, I would say we are more prepared than ever because we are sharing more information and accountability. So we have more members joining, more NPOs joining IPB. We are participating in the Value of Vision, Vision Atlas. So there's more more Latin American countries participating. We also have incorporating more IT solutions, so IA, telemedicine, and we have more, I'll say, like joint conversations and projects. So inside a country, so the nonprofits from the country, there are more projects between them. There's also more projects between nonprofits from one country with other countries. So we have the example of Peru, Mexico, and Paraguay joining for the nonprofits joining for a project. We have also more relations. There are cases where there are nonprofits being more integrated with the government, like the Brazil case that we heard yesterday, and Paraguay too. We have also countries where we have a national program for eye care embedded already in the budget, somewhere in the Ministry of Health. And we have also countries that have a national vision committee, where you bring private sector, public sector, and the nonprofits together. That's, you can say Bolivia and Paraguay at least are some examples. And we have nonprofits going to global initiatives like Paraguay joining the SPECS, and also the invitations that are being handled this week for the Global Summit. So we have Paraguay, Mexico, Peru, Brazil, Bolivia, and Guatemala being invited. So yes, I think like Latin America, maybe other regions are more prepared for our next step. Thank you.
So from a Latin American perspective, bring it on, right. When we asked the question to the room, there were quite a few no's and quite a few hums, let's be honest. Who will speak either way? Who will start to share? We've got a few minutes remaining. Please raise your hand. Again, you don't need to say which organization you're from. You just want a way to make us think will be appreciated. Who will speak for or against this motion? Any volunteers? Anybody? I mean, I suppose while we're thinking, Kathleen, you know, if somebody approached you, you know, you couldn't always say, could you, I don't think it's the right question, but forced to answer, is the sector prepared for scale at a global level, yes or no?
No.
Who agrees no? Natasha, let's come over. Let's we'll take a view. Let's come down. I might have to borrow. Here we go. We're back in the room.
Experience, so I'm hoping someone can beat me in that. So.
Yeah, I don't have much more, so I don't know if I can. But no, I actually am saying we're going to have to be. So I don't think it's a case of yes or no. I think it's a case of we're hosting a global summit for eye health. We've gone out and told the world that we need all these solutions, we have all these solutions to all these problems, and now's the time to make it happen. So I don't think we can say on the 3rd or 4th of November, no, hold that thought, because we're not quite ready. So I think we just need to crack on and get ready, because we've gone out and told everyone that we're here to do business and come join us.
Do you want to come back on that, Kathleen? We can get more views.
We're getting shut down, so it makes me a little concerned. So look, on the positive side, we need to start with hope, right? That's leadership. So we're good for something. So we do in this space have really good evidence, right? Again, I've never seen such a collective coalition around evidence before. We have really good solutions, right? We know what works. There's been organizations doing this work for 20, 30, 40 years. And so I think we have all of the component parts, but we still have these conversations around how to scale those solutions. I think that there's an opportunity. We're just not doing it yet, or I haven't seen the conversation yet. I'm hopeful, though, because the component parts are there, that we're taking a step back and starting with the system conversation, because the scale follows that. I just think we have the ordering wrong.
Yeah.
So I'll rephrase it. So I brought more hope to the conversation.
Resonates. Super helpful. Let's come to Brandon, but I'm also looking with my night vision goggles at any other offers as well. say it's done wonders for my migraine, I've got to tell you. Brandon.
Yeah, look, I'll just say, look, I agree with Natasha, and we have no choice. And to be honest, I think that we are selling ourselves a bit short. I think, yes, we have our issues, but to tell you what, over the last 3 years, we've seen what we can do when we can come together and we can actually collaborate, we can actually figure things out together. If somebody came along and said, we've got $100 million, go and spend it, yeah, there might be a bit of a time that we need to actually figure out how to do it, but that's just time. I'm sure that we could figure it out.
Thank you, Brandon. Let's have other perspectives in the room. Was that a stretch or an offer? I think it was an offer, and right on the back row there. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that.
I definitely agree with all the points about hope. And I'll come in with you, Kathleen, and say that we're not ready. And the reason I would say that is because we're talking about scale and sustainability. And that $100 million will go super fast unless we build up the systems that are going to ensure it continues.
All right, strong points. Other closing thoughts? Who says bring it on? There's another offer right at the back, so let's come back there. Dr. Rahil.
I agree with Catherine. I think we want to scale it global and local level, but I think we need examples. There are still, you have rightly pointed out that we have organizations which are doing good work and they are doing fantastic work and for years together, but we don't have any organization with the example where we have this health system integrated. So probably I think that is something we should start working on at local level and then probably use that case studies to scale it globally.
Okay, thank you, sir. Let's go right to the back.
Hi, everyone, again. I think we are prepared to go for scale at a global level if we are bold enough to be bolder on our partnerships, on our financing mechanisms, in the way we adopt technologies, and in the way we actually think about communicating the right message to the right people.
Thank you. Yes, if. Love that. Any other final ones? I think we're going to have to, we're going to close. Well, final thought, Ryan and then Kathleen. First of all, thank you to you both for putting forward very different perspectives. Thank you. Ryan, a final thought, a closing couple of words.
Okay, well, I think that in many countries, in my region at least, I think it's necessary to scale. There's no other options, and just relying on one actor to be pushing. We have enough evidence that it's not working. Maybe because we don't have these government plans and not country plans. And I think we are now prepared because there are so many tools, and what I see is there's missing the conversation with the other actors, and I would encourage everybody to, in their countries,
for scale at a global or a local level. But let's say at a global level, is the sector prepared for scale? All those in favor say aye. All those in favor say nay. Is the sector prepared for scale at a local level? All those in favor say aye. All those in favor say nay. Okay, so there's the step. There you go. To be continued. It's an amazingly exciting threshold to be on, though, isn't it? And let there be light. Thank you so much, everybody. On a very serious note, thank you to the team for taking a risk with this format. We want it to be serious at its heart, but playful in its spirit. And so we'd love your feedback, and I think across the whole event in terms of what works, what you'd love to see more of, and so on and so forth. But on a very serious note, thank you so much to our 6 debaters for being so brilliant. Thank you once again. And with that in mind, we have 2 minutes remaining to say, please have a tea break, because we'll be back in here at 4:45 for the closing remarks. Thank you very much indeed.